Yo, I'm Danny, and I love playing guitar, chasing tones, miking up guitar cabs, and we're doing all of that today. So if you're into that, stick around. It's going to be fun. We're comparing some amazing amps today. They're all in the hot-rodded Marshall sort of territory. We got the Bogner Helios 100, my go-to number one amp for the past 6 or 7 years, live in studio. We got the Monomyth Skeleton Key back there. Shout out to my buddy Tim Connors, who's lending that to me. Tim and I gigged together in our bands years back. He's an awesome guitarist, songwriter, and drummer too. So thank you, Tim. Really appreciate you. And then also, not in frame, but I'll show a close-up, my EVH 5153 50-watt EL34. So all three of these amps have EL34s in the power section. The Helios is a 100 watt, like I said. The other two are 50 watt. And the EVH is only about half, actually less than half the cost of these other two amps. So we'll see how it holds up in the comparo. For all the amps, I'm using my Bogner Helios 4x12 cab. And I have a SM57 on a Celestion Greenback and a Celestion Vintage 30. And you'll be listening to a combination of those. I think this cab is fitting because, for the Bogner Helios, of course, it was designed around that cab. The EVH, those cabs come with a version of the Greenback as well. And for the Monomyth, I've heard these work well with Greenbacks too. So I think this cab should work well, and it sounds pretty killer on most things, in my opinion. So we should be good. For the guitar, I'm using my Dean 7-string with Fishman Fluence Moderns in it, and I'll be playing in passive mode the whole time because that's the mode I like. And we're in drop A. I'll have some more standard tune licks and some heavier licks. For each amp, we're gonna have a boosted with an overdrive rhythm guitar, boosted lead guitar plus delay in the effects loop. So we'll hear how those loops sound, and then we'll do a section with no pedals at all so you can hear the amp just by itself. So you can listen with your ears. We're gonna make this a blind comparison just for fun, but don't worry, I'll reveal the amps right after. So yeah, you can see which amp you prefer just by listening, and then we'll go from there. All right, did you form your opinions about the sound? I'm about to reveal the blind test. Amp number 1 was the EVH 5153 50 watt EL34. I'll talk about the feeling of well, before I get into feeling, let's get to the other two. So 1, EVH. Amp 2, the Monomyth Skeleton Key. Woo! And amp number 3, the trusty old Bogner Helios, which I always love. I'll talk about the feel of these amps since you can't really experience that just by listening. So I'll start, well, let's go in order. So the EVH, even though it was amp 1, it was the last one I played. And so I think I felt most comfy on the solo, and that felt really good, the solo. I think it was a good take, but also I was just really feeling that lead tone in particular. I think it's a good all-rounder. It's got a nice thick chug as well, some saturation there. Skeleton Key was super fun to chug on in the earlier riffs with the low tuning. For the lead, it probably wasn't the ideal sound. It was getting a little shrill for me, but a lot of other tones in there that are great. The Bogner just feels like home for me. It's got a really special mid-range, which is always great to solo on. It's very reactive to every little thing I do with my technique. But I'll admit it is probably the least chuggy of the others. It doesn't really have the low-end saturation like some of the other ones do. So if you want a piece of this tone, or you want to compare your amp with mine, with these ones here, then you're in luck, because I've made an IR with exactly this mic placement on these on my cab. So again, it's a combination of a Greenback and a Vintage 30, and you can download that in a link in the description below. And I've made a bunch of IRs, which I'm just giving away for free these days. So feel free to check those out and let me know if you make any music or recordings with those. I'd love to hear that. So wrapping up here, which amp did you like the best? Meet me in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let's chat. If you got questions or whatever, happy to hang out down there. And if you want to see more videos like this, definitely subscribe to the channel. I got a Bogner Uberschall Ultra on the way with KT88s, and I can't wait to try that one out. Definitely going to compare it with some other amps here, including my Mesa Dual Rectifier Tremoverb, so for some extra heavy tones. So yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, subscribe. Thanks for hanging out. I wish you all good tone. Peace.